Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin, here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is just say no. And that's talking about no to the injustices, no to the abuses, the overreaching of power, and essentially like recognizing the things that we accept and standing up for the possibility of a culture and structures that create a resonant, resounding yes. So we'll talk more about it. I'm excited to hear what you think about this whole conversation and where it goes. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs, flowing through your bloodstream and nourishing all your organs and every part of your body. As you exhale any tension, any stress, fatigue, negativity. And let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing every molecule, every electron, all your cells. And as you exhale any remaining tension or stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together. Very softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms. Feel the deliciousness of that sensation and just relish it. Allow yourselves to become present in your bodies right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're talking about just say no. And I know what we want to be able to do is to say yes. So there are things that are happening in the world from microcosm to macrocosm that we just accept as the way things are. And I had the wonderful privilege of speaking with a remarkable person yesterday who is largely responsible for the ban on fracking that is in New York State. And it was a remarkable conversation because we were talking about thinking and how the path to transformation of this planet, of the way that we operate on this planet, and being able to save and recreate an environment in which we can thrive as humans and in alignment with nature and the other wonderful life forms on this planet, this living planet. We were talking about how this person saw these injustices happening and went against the prevailing concept and paradigm and really flew in the face of convention that was not serving the people. So the convention essentially was you don't tell towns in the way that this fracking triumph occurred was by small towns passing kind of like zoning laws, essentially, to say what kind of industry they would accept in their towns. It was out of the box thinking, and it was also good morning, Rosalind, welcome. It was also very much against the conventional grain to say we don't do anything to get in the way of big oil or big fossil fuel industry propagating throughout the world. They're not to be challenged. So anyway, in the face of this accepted practice to say, well, we can't do anything about it. You know, like we are programmed into, good morning, Lisa. Welcome. It's great to see you too. We are programmed into complacency, into believing that we cannot challenge City Hall, so to speak. And this person, her name is Helen Slache, and you might want to look her up, Slottje. It's remarkable what she and her husband David accomplished in taking on uh, the big the big fossil fuel industry in New York State. But anyway, the thing that she did is she just looked at this, that what was happening, and she said, no, this is not okay. Good morning, Suzanne. Welcome. Great to have you here. And we talked yesterday about power and channeling this power of commitment, of recognition that this is not okay. You know, like there are a lot of things going on in the world that if we want to play in the worldly game, which, you know, we bounce in and out of that as spiritual beings, right? But we do live in a material world, and we do get to choose the game that we want to create, right? And so if we look around and we see injustices, we do have the ability to say no, this is not okay, this is not acceptable, and we can change it. And so I think that this is kind of at the heart of activism, and also spiritual activism, or spiritually based activism, is to say, um, I choose better for my world. I choose better for myself. I choose better for my community. And so there's a strength in standing up to just say no. And on the other side of that coin is to just say yes to our capability to bring about change. I mean, this, Helen said she faced opposition from her professional community. People were telling her that it wasn't possible to do what she was doing. People told her it was criminal to do what she was doing. I mean, she displayed such incredible courage in this fight. It was like a 10-year fight, I think, and they won. And it just goes to show that we do, you know, yesterday we were talking about power, today we're talking about power, that we do have the power to make a difference in the world, and to essentially see, you know, this is not acceptable behavior. So yesterday we were talking about this man that was beating a child, and my friend who just went over and completely put a stop to it by channeling that power to just say no, unacceptable, no more, not happening, this is done, that's the end of it. And this is a testament to our ability. You know, we talk about manifesting a lot, right? That power of manifestation is driven by intense, focused emotion. And when there's this clarity about injustice, that enables us, that enables us to really truly focus and say, this is it. This is it. This is the line, done, no more. And it can be no, I believe that an instance of saying no, like really just saying no, can lead to a really truly deeply empowered yes. So for me, it was recognizing that what we're doing to the planet, or what we've been doing to the planet and to our environment, that we need to be able to survive, was devastating to me. And I just said, no, I'm not gonna participate in that anymore. I'm not going to participate in the resignation around it, that I'm going to say yes to my ability to take action and make change. So I'm wondering, like, in your life, what kinds of situations have you responded to by just saying no, like, no more, this is not happening, and how that may have created an opening for you to a really deeply resonant yes. So I think when we recognize the things that are are unacceptable to us, that motivates us often to finding the things that light us up and that enliven us, that strengthen us, that give us vitality and purpose and direction. And so um, I I think that when we take a stand, the empowerment from that is is a big yes. And I'm wondering, tell me how that shows up in your life. Like, there have probably been circumstances, even if we take it to a job, for instance, where maybe you're being treated poorly in a job, and finally you just say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Or, no, you may not treat me that way anymore. No, you may not speak to me that way anymore. Or, no, I don't have to stand here and listen to you speaking to me that way. It was interesting because in the same conversation, we were talking about how a lot of young kids, 20 somethings, are not going back to work, not going back to work at jobs that they hated, or where they were being uh, treated poorly, and they're not driven by, the money. Like, the money that they're being paid isn't enough to justify standing for that kind of treatment. And I think that that's kind of wonderful, in that we are, more and more of us are reassessing our values, and recognizing what we're not willing to tolerate anymore. And when we recognize that, there's an empowerment to it, and then that opens the door to saying what we do want. And if you've listened to Esther Hicks, from Abraham and the law of attraction, that's what contrast is about, right? The contrast of um, knowing what we don't want, to be able to identify what we do want. So we don't stop at just saying no. We say, okay, this is a no. What's a yes? What do we want to bring about? What do we want to manifest? What do we want to generate in the world? And I I think that there is a courage to take a stand. I think there is a courage to just say no. And that also there's a tremendous courage to saying yes, like, to really being conscious and in alignment, and creating a resounding yes for yourself about something, about life, about your direction, about your purpose, like taking it on. And I think that the in-between that so many of us resign ourselves to is this um, complacency, to just say, well, that's the way things are, without challenging it. And there's so much. This is such a ripe opportunity in our history on the planet as humans to be able to really be challenging the status quo, right? Because there's so much that's really, really twisted about the status quo when we look at it, and we've gotten to see that through Black Lives Matter. We've gotten to see that through looking at social injustice and environmental injustice. And it's really a profound opportunity for us to make change and create a world that is a resounding, resonant yes. So Rosalind says, in saying no, I found a yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let's hear. My boyfriend and I broke up because I wanted to be open to find a partner who wants to be married. Beautiful. After some time apart, we came back together. I still have the same issues, but it's with more awareness. So either I don't have boundaries or I'm opening up to more possibilities, like what a relationship really means to me. So there's so much in there to unpack, Rosalind, because you left your boyfriend because you wanted to find somebody that wanted to be married, and then you came back together. So maybe your ideas around marriage shifted. Maybe your boyfriend's ideas around marriage shifted. Maybe you're still evolving and exploring together. I hope that you didn't come back together because you resigned yourself. I'm hoping that you that this is a really awesome passage of discovery for you. And Lisa, and I love that you said that either you don't have boundaries or you're learning to open up to more possibilities. And I think that ties in really perfectly with what Lisa says. Lisa says, isn't it about creating boundaries? So, I have a mixed conversation around boundaries because yes, we get to say what we're willing to accept and what we're not, and we can interpret that as boundaries, right? Like I've had certain encounters with people where the behavior was such that I was like, no, not going here anymore, not interested. And that could be considered a boundary, that a boundary was breached, or that but I think we can also consider it a preference. So maybe it's a boundary, but the thing about boundaries also, while they may protect us, they also imprison us. And I think if we I'm just playing with this as a hypothesis, so you can let me know what you think about it. That there's a very different feeling around a preference and a boundary, or a choice and a boundary. If I say I'm not really interested in having that kind of interaction, I'm not interested in having that kind of relationship, then that's a choice. We can say I'm choosing to not be localized to this kind of behavior. Is that a boundary? It may be, but I wonder I know there's a lot of talk about setting boundaries, and when we say no, maybe that is it a choice or is it a boundary? You know, is to say, this is not happening anymore. Is that a boundary? Is that a choice? Because I'm just thinking more and more of freedom and what is freedom. And I know that when I was growing up, I actually wrote a poem about this when I was a kid, talking about how I had put myself in this castle with a moat around it and it protected me from others. But at the same time, I couldn't get out. And I wonder with this whole boundary thing, if by viewing it that way, I know in some respects it can be empowering, right? Because we're setting a limit for what we'll tolerate. We're setting a boundary, right? But the thing is that those boundaries are limits. They are limits. We're setting a limit. And I it feels different to me thinking about what might have been considered boundaries as choices instead. I mean, boundaries feels enclosing to me, and choice feels expansive. Does that resonate for you? Does it, you know, what are you thinking about that? So that's why I really, really like what you said, Rosalind, is I don't have boundaries, or I'm opening up to more possibilities. And so um, I think you are opening up to more possibilities, and there's huge power in that. And you're exploring. I love that you're exploring what a relationship really means to you. You know, what you're looking for in a relationship, what it means to you, how you interact with it. Um, and if we move, I do believe it's possible to move from constriction to expansion, or contraction to expansion. And this is a new conversation, I have to say, because it's really the first time I've reframed the conversation around boundaries, because we talk about healthy boundaries, right? And I'm wondering, you know, it's like healthy choices feels better to me than healthy boundaries. You know, I want to be able to have freedom, and when I have boundaries, then those are things that are constraining me. And yeah, I prefer to view it as choices. And how does that feel to you? Does it feel different? Do boundaries and choices feel different, or is it just saying the same thing in a different way? I mean, it really kind of opens up a world to be thinking about choices for me. And Lisa says, my daughter is tough. In the past, she would, I'm thinking guilt. In the past, she would guilt me, then she would make me the heavy. I had to tell her, no, no more. If you're looking for a fight, you have the wrong number. Gotcha. Gotcha. And so you made a choice, right? Oh, she would bully you. Okay. She would bully you and then make you the heavy. Wow. And good for you to say no more. And to say I'm not, that I'm choosing to no longer allow or engage in that behavior or that dynamic. Good for you, Lisa. That's huge. And the thing is that when we are in alignment with our choices, when we're really clear, things change. It's like with my friend who stopped that man from hurting that child. It's like, no, no, you're done. That's it. And the alignment was so perfect. The clarity was so complete that it just ended that situation. Lisa says, I choose happy. That's awesome. It's awesome. And that's a big choice. And it's like, guess what? You're not making me happy right now, or I'm not feeling very happy in this conversation, so I'm out of it, or I'm choosing elsewise. So yeah, it feels different, right, though, to say I choose versus I'm setting boundaries. um I wonder. I'm trying to think it through in other situations where boundaries might or might not be um, supportive. It's interesting because when I know that there is tremendous possibility in the context of limitation, and what I mean by that, for instance, is if the whole world of possibilities is open to me, it's kind of daunting to make a choice. It's hard to choose something that it's hard to make a direction, right? It's kind of ironic. But what I noticed is the example that's coming to mind is different disciplines around food or eating, for example, that at one point I've tried all different kinds of eating disciplines, so to speak. But like within, at one point, I was doing raw foods, and that was a limit. You could consider maybe that was a um, a boundary, right? But within that, there were unlimited possibilities, and it gave me an opportunity to pursue the exploration more deeply because I had this constraint that I gave myself. So sometimes there's infinity within the context of boundaries. Lisa says, I need positive vibes. I'm going on a job interview for the first time in 25 years. Wow. Lisa, fingers crossed. Well, how about I just have a suggestion around that? If you go into the job, instead of, usually when we go for a job interview, we go in wanting a job, right? We go in hoping and praying that they're going to pick us. Choose me, choose me, choose me, right? And what I suggest is go in to find out if this is, interview them, find out if this is a job that you want, find out what it's like to work at this place. What are the relationships like? What is the vision that they have for the people that they have employed there? What essentially, what would it be like? What are they looking for in an employee, so that is that something you want to be able to fulfill? It sort of shifts the dynamic when you go to interview them to see if you want to spend a portion of your life there. It's a whole different perspective. It's like, is this what I really want? And would this be enjoyable for me? Oh, you were there already. So you were a temp there 30 years ago. Oh my gosh. Wow, it'll be fascinating to see how things have changed in that time period. Oh my heavens, right? I think you can allow it to be an adventure. Was it a place you enjoyed? Um, this is where you get to choose, and where you get to decide, is it a yes, is it a no? But I encourage you to look at how you feel about it, rather than trying to please them per for instance. And Lisa says, but it's a new generation running it and it's tripled in size. So that's interesting, because if it's a new generation running it and it's tripled in size, the likelihood is that it's a very, very different place to work. And it may be even unrecognizable. So you get to see. I wish you a wonderful adventure. And if it turns out to be a job that you would enjoy, I hope that I'm sending you good vibes to just feel empowered by your interaction, and whatever the outcome is. So I don't think you need fingers crossed. Just be present. Just be present. It may be the job for you. It may not. And you get to be part of that conversation. It's not just about them. See you, Lisa. And yeah, I'm eager to hear how it went. And well, I'm sure we're all sending you really strong positive energy for it. And I think that I'm going to call it a wrap for today. So we get to look at what are the things that we say, what's a yes and what's a no in our lives. And knowing that we have the power to speak up and make a difference, and to really institute change in the world, positive change. And on that note, I'm Mira Rubin. This is Maggie. And this is the Core Connection. We go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern here on Enlightened World Network. Please, please check out the other wonderful programming on the Enlightened World Network Facebook pages, Enlightened World Living and One with the Earth. And I have a show at 1 p.m. Eastern at One with the Earth every Wednesday. So that's today. And today we're going to watch a TED Talk about how trees talk to each other. It's really an amazing TED Talk. So I invite you to join us. It's going to be a short day today because I have to take my mom to a doctor's appointment, but it's going to be really worthwhile. So from 1 to about 1:30. And I look forward to seeing you there. Lots and lots of love to you guys. Until